What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It's full-time reaction to Celtic 0, Kairat Almaty 0 here at Celtic Park. Darren and Martin are with me. Martin, just your initial thoughts on that tonight.
I didn't feel good. Well, I felt good prior to the game, just that excitement for a game of that magnitude, a game of that importance. You just can't help but look forward to it and the days running up to it and the day itself. But then once I got into the game, I felt a really strange sense of, is this a Champions League game? It felt more like a pre-season friendly. It's a little bit lighter than what you're used to expecting. Obviously got a nice night as well. It just had a strange feeling from the word go, and that kind of continued into the game. And I thought from the very word go to the very last minute, there was a real flatness about it. I just feel really deflated after that. I know we didn't get beat. I know we're still in the tie, but we've got a lot to do, and there's a lot that goes with the return leg with regards to travel and the time of the game and all that stuff. But I just really disappointed and frustrated. I didn't feel like we deserved anything out of the game. It was really sad to say, because at home 60,000 fans against a team that we should be beating in theory. Some people ask me who we're playing. I'm thinking, what they called again? It was that. I just had a good feeling pre-match that we get 2 or 3 goals and see the tie away and give ourselves a bit of headway into the second leg. But we didn't do that. We didn't come close to doing that, and we certainly didn't deserve it.
No, Darren, I think over the piece tonight we created so little. There's a real lack of creativity in the team just now. I think there's no fluidity at all in the attacking play in the final third. It looked like the team ran out of ideas. I mean, take your pick of when we ran out of ideas. There was a wee flurry at the beginning of the second half, but we just offered so little to the game in terms of attacking threat.
And can we really say we're that surprised? I mean, for months, the whole summer really, we've talked about how we need 1 or 2 wingers. My best winger, Jota, he's obviously out for a long haul, so we need to strengthen that area. Like, we can always say that James Forrest is he's getting on a wee bit, but we know that he's got his history of making big moments. I think to the qualifier 12 years ago when he scored the winner, but he's at that age where you can't really rely on him to come up with these big moments. Obviously Maeda, he's at his left. We know he's a good player, and for me, I don't like picking on one individual, but I feel like it has to be addressed. And I know the comments as well in the video are probably going to be talking about it. Is Adam Maeda. Like, this is the start of the season where since he's been here, he's always been second choice to Kyogo. Now we're 4 games in, he's not scored a single goal. I don't think he's even looked like scoring a goal. I can't remember him even having a shot on target in all 4 games. He probably has, but I just don't remember it. He gets hooked at half time. I think that's just it's the final nail in the coffin on this project either. I mean, he's a £9.5, £10 million player, second most expensive player in the squad if I'm correct, and he's getting taken off at half time for a winger to move Maeda up front. And I was relieved when I seen him not come out to him for the second half, because he's just not good enough. He's like a big lump of wood there, and I felt second half straight away like the momentum just picked up for like a brief couple of minutes, with Maeda shutting down the goalkeeper, making runs in behind. Obviously we hit the post and we look like we're kind of getting there, and then it started slowing back down again, going back to the proverbial 2, 3, 4 touches on the ball. Scales to Carter Vickers, Scales back and forward to each other. The left backs just the left and right backs weren't overlapping. Didn't help that obviously Alistair Johnson went off injured, and Ralston, he's not really played a lot of game time, and I thought he was dreadful tonight as well. With just him and Forrest and then him and Yang there, you're not going to create much of that. And we tried to create through the middle. Negrin, Hatate did look a bit energetic, he was getting involved, but it was just so compact in there. I think they had a game plan and they stuck to it, and they'll probably be, well, I think you've seen for the celebrations for them, they're more than happy to take a draw back to Kazakhstan. It's a huge ask for us now to get a result over there next week.
Yeah, Martin, I think, the big story tonight, and we've seen it a million times, I said to you just before we came on camera, you could have wrote the script for that game tonight. The story is that this Celtic team is woefully underprepared for this qualifying round, and you come into the game tonight, and I think you could tell 15-20 minutes in you've said it was flat, and there's a real anxiety in the crowd, and that's twofold, because we think on paper this is a tie that we should be rolling over the opposition in, and the support know that the players on the pitch, the squad that we've got, is not of good enough quality. There's so many areas that are crying out for help, particularly in the final third, We've brought off Adam Ida. That tells you everything about where his Celtic career's at this moment in time. We bring on Yang, who nobody's really sure if he's good enough to be a Celtic player or not, but he's the only option we've got to be able to put Dyson through the middle. And the chance of sack the board go around the stadium tonight, and I know that a lot of people think, well, that's a bit reactionary and it's a bit over the top, given, again, success people talk about that the club have had. But the story is that this football club have got 80 million quid in the bank, and they've got an opportunity to qualify for the Champions League and secure another 40 million quid. And yet again, it looks like we're going to pass it up by being underprepared. And we've seen this movie 1,000 times.
Yeah, and I think had we got a goal early in the game, maybe the mood would have been different, but it just didn't feel like it was going to come. And of course the performance on the pitch translates into the supporters and vice versa, but you know, I wouldn't say the supporters weren't up for it tonight, they were, but they didn't give us anything early doors to get excited about and get off your seat about and cheer about. Obviously gutted to hear the sack the board chance, because you wouldn't normally hear it in a game of this, you know, this magnitude. It's all very well hearing it in a league game, a domestic league game, not necessarily the end of the world in those types of games, but I thought tonight unhelpful, but completely understand the frustration of the fans, and it's just the passion of the fans, and you know they're seeing what's about to happen, and feel like they need to do something to try and help in any way they can, and to chant is just a way in which they can somehow try and help, and it's a call to action. But I thought the biggest thing tonight, we've been talking about for a long time, is, you know, defensively Darren's talked about some of the areas where there was frailties, and undoubtedly there was. In midfield there's a range of options and some good players in there, but without a shadow of doubt, out wide and through the middle up front, we're just in real trouble just now. I mean, you've got Maeda who's class and can play in any position, you put him in goals, but beyond that we're really struggling. I mean, Jamesy looked, he's not that player that's going to hit the byline, he's not that player that's going to, the opposition tonight ran more than we did, they seemed more up for it than we did, they pressed better than we did, there was more energy, there was just everything, and I know a lot of that comes with confidence in the way the game's going, but that shouldn't be happening at Celtic Park, should it? It's not what we're used to, and just offensively we're in a poor place. You look at the bench, there's nothing out wide or on the number 9 position, so we desperately need to do something to have any kind of success this season, whether it be domestically or otherwise, and we'll have to bring in some width, and we'll have to bring in a striker that's going to give us what we're used to seeing over at Celtic. You've always got a number 9 that, and the movement wasn't there, and they weren't understanding who was going where, it was almost guesswork, but I was really surprised to see that they were more up for it than we were. They worked harder, they looked fitter, they were sharper, they didn't give us any time on the ball, and they were happy to hit us on the break, and you know, they had a couple of half chances themselves.
Darren, there's obviously tactical elements which are the responsibility of the manager, the players' individual performances as well tonight, but I think Kairat, again, we've played teams from Kazakhstan before, they were big, physical, they were aggressive, they pressed well, as Martin said, and right now that's all you need to be to restrict this Celtic team, because we haven't really witnessed a free-flowing attacking display, and that comes back to the options the manager's got in those positions. Well,
I think they were a lot better than any of us expected, to be honest. They were physical. I noticed, as you said, they were up for it. It was 1-2 touch passing. They were happy to hit us on the break. And we just couldn't break them down, and that goes back to the points we talked about at the beginning there. And it just feels so easy for them. Like they beat who's that team we played last season?
Bratislava.
They beat Slovan Bratislava. That's a team we beat 5-1 last season here, and it could have been a lot more. That kind of tells you the regression from where we're at, even just from a tactical standpoint. As I say, like through the middle, it was just so compact, we couldn't break them down. The time wasting didn't help. It was like any time we even tried to get some sort of momentum, the keeper was down, someone was down with a hamstring injury, and it just killed the game. Then it was just, we had to start again. And I suppose we're kind of used to that playing at Celtic Park when, you know, other teams from Scotland come here, but they kind of over-exaggerated that a little bit, and then you're thinking 10 minutes added on, let's try and do something here, but again, like it did feel like an onslaught the last 10 minutes, but balls coming into the box, like just there was no one.
Maeda had that chance, that was the biggest chance of the game really, and he just looked out of steam, didn't he? Low on confidence as well.
You would expect him to take a couple of touches there, but it's just he did just hit it first time, and it kind of just sums up the whole night, that chance, to be honest. Can't see where any goals are coming from. In fact, I mean, to go there again next week and try and do the same and not concede a goal this time. I even think about that moment, first couple of minutes when we conceded the offside goal. Scales just lets the ball go past them. Obviously the guy's offside, anyone's seen that, but Scales just not knowing that a man was there behind him. And in fact, if we went 1-0 down tonight, I don't really know. I didn't see us getting back in the game anyway, and if we took I know we're standing here sounding very defeatist, but it is a 0-0 draw and we're not out the tie. Again, it's a big ask to go over to Kazakhstan and try and get a result, but I suppose that if there's any sort of positivity we can take from it, is that we're not trying to claw back. We didn't lose the game, so I suppose let's just cross our fingers and hope we can go over there next week and get something. It would be helpful if there was a striker in the door. Very unlikely.
Well, that's it, Martin. I mean, I think the club have made, or are making, a rod for their own backs with this situation. Champions League qualification hangs in the balance now. We go to Kazakhstan, nearly China next week. Time difference, travel, everything involved in that. And again, we've seen Celtic struggle in these sort of environments qualifying rounds before. It's a tall order next week, isn't it?
Alan was calling out in our group chat that we should maybe cancel the Livingston game. I bet we're wishing that we had now, just to give us that extra bit of preparation in advance of the travel, as you say, next week, the time zone that comes with it. I mean, I don't know if we're still on paper the favourites to get through this time. We probably are, but it does right now. It feels sore because the performance was so poor. And in that last 10 minutes, I get there was a little bit of a surge, but there wasn't a lot of clear-cut chances. And I'd be interested to see the stats around shots on target, shots off target. It just seemed really, there was a lot of apathy tonight, and I think that all of a sudden looks like a team that's lacking in confidence. And I think it probably starts with despair and frustration and all that stuff, and then translates into lack of confidence, because there was just very little movement tonight. And you're looking for inspiration, you're looking for leaders, and of course you've got Callum. He gives us all of that. But often on games like this, in a game of that importance, you need more than one leader. You almost need a team of leaders. But we certainly didn't have, even half a team of leaders tonight. You're looking about and thinking, I'm not sure he's good enough to play in the first team at Celtic, and that was across the whole team, sadly. As I say, maybe in the middle you'd maybe look at like your Hatate and McGregor and one or two others and think, yeah, they're good enough to play at that level, but there wasn't a lot of those players on the pitch. I remember one particular instance, it was Hatate, Maeda, Tierney and McGregor. Do you remember that in the first half?
Yeah.
And they were just looking at each other as if they were lost, and
Yeah.
you're thinking that's probably your four best players in that team.
Yeah.
Which credit to opposition, as you say, Darren, they played well and they shut us down well, but you're thinking those four in that area of the pitch, and they were almost lost, as if to say, I'm not quite sure what to do, who's making the runs, where's the pass going, and Callum was getting quite frustrated, and that was early on in the game. And I think just the whole game we struggled. The subs didn't make much of a difference either, I thought. Engels made a little bit of difference, showed a bit of urgency. He gives you a good corner in the box. But for by that, I was really struggling to see where the goal was coming from.
Yeah, hugely disappointing tonight. We've got it all to do in Kazakhstan next week. Give us your thoughts on tonight's game below. Thank you for watching.